All right, I think we can get started as others begin to file in. So, hello everyone. My name is Jesse Townsend. I'm a graduate intern in the Office of New Student and Family Services, and I'd like to welcome you to our Friday webinar series. And today, it will be living in the halls. And so, just some housekeeping things before we begin. We cannot hear nor see you. Your cameras and audio is muted. And so you'll only see the panelists on camera. We will not be utilizing the chat function. So any questions that you have, please put them in the Q&A box and we will save those for the end of the presentation and we'll try to get to as many questions as we can. And a recording of this session will be available on YouTube if you would like to go back and reference it. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our presenters today, Morgan Murray and Jamal Cooks. And so I'll let them take it away.
Thank you, Jesse. Hello, everyone. My name is Jamal Cooks. I am a residence education coordinator here at UNC Charlotte. I currently work in Hawthorne Hall, which is the home to our engineering learning community, and I'm excited to give you all this presentation about living on campus. I'll let Morgan introduce themselves, and then I will get started.
Hi, everyone. My name is Morgan Murray. I'm one of the Associate Directors for Residence Life with our department, and have worked for the department for about 3 years and oversee our North Village and our East Village of campus. And I'll be around mostly to answer the questions that come in at the end.
All right, so we're going to get started. I hope you all are really excited. Just to go through kind of the things that we'll be going over today. So we'll be talking about why live on campus. That's a big question a lot of the time. We're going to talk about what it's like living on campus once you are here. I know a lot of people probably have some questions about some of the changes for the upcoming year. So we'll get a little bit into that. We'll talk about some leadership opportunities for living on campus, ways to get involved, proper residential citizenship, and at the end, we'll leave some time for questions and answers. So I hope everyone's excited. We're going to jump right on in to why living on campus. So living on campus, first and foremost, helps residents feel more connected to the university. It helps them find their sense of belonging. I feel like a little easier when they live on campus. But not only is it good, just kind of that psychologically, the campus and national research suggests that students who live on campus are more successful academically. They have higher GPAs, they graduate in 4 years more than likely. They really enjoy the collegiate experience. And there's just a lot of opportunities to get involved when you're near the heart of campus. There's so many things that are happening, so many different events that go on. You're just more connected to the campus community and the resources around here. And then we'll go into a couple of the other benefits. So for safety and security, all of our residence halls have security guards in them at night, especially in our first year halls. We have UNC Charlotte Police Patrol 24/7. So every day of the week, every month of the year, we have UNC Charlotte Police present to help patrol campus, residential facilities, and everything like that. All of our exterior doors are locked, which means only students who live in the building can access the hall. So on their student ID, they'll just tap into our boxes that we have at our front desk, which will open up and allow them to come into each of the buildings. We also have live-in staff, which are very helpful for our residents that stay with us. We have resident advisors in each hall to provide support and help students really acclimate to the UNC Charlotte community. A lot of our residents really love their RAs, so it's a really good benefit to have, especially when transitioning from high school to college. All residence halls have an RAC, a residence education coordinator, like myself, which oversee kind of the day-to-day functions. They manage the desk staff, they advise the hall community council, oversee those daily operations, make sure the facilities are up to date and everything like that. We also have a few halls that have graduate hall advisors, which is another level in making sure that daily operations are maintained and we are making sure we're providing the best experience to everyone that stays with us in the role. Another thing that I did not mention about safety and security, all of our halls have security cameras, fire sprinkler suppression systems, housing staff on call 24/7. So anytime there's an emergency, an issue pops up, there's literally anything you could think of, we have staff available to help at any given moment. So it's just really good to have those resources and just have that kind of availability and openness when you live on campus. So what's it like? A lot of people really want to know what it's like living on campus, and that's where all of the excitement happens. You're never far away from any of the action. A lot of our halls are centrally located, so they're close to our student union. They're not too far from any major events that are happening. A lot of them are very central to campus, so you know, a 15-minute walk at the most to most places on campus. Your classes, you're usually not too far from the academic buildings when you live on campus, so it makes it a little easier to get to class, especially if some days you're waking up and you're a little behind schedule, you can still get to class on time. The University Recreation Center, being close to that, which is free for all of the students as a part of the tuition and fees. So it's really great to be able to have and utilize that University Recreation Center so close to where you live. Our residential communities also allow students to form meaningful relationships. So I know for me, at least in the building where I oversee, plenty of people meet friends and they go on to live together years after they've stayed here, even if that is somewhere off campus or after they graduate. So being able to form those meaningful relationships with people who are near you, who have the same kind of interests, who are also going through that transition from high school to college with you, it can be really, really good to have some of those like-minded individuals living, you know, with you across the hall, the second floor above you, all of those things. Really exciting, really helpful. We also put on events. So our hall staff organize events all the time, a couple events every month, and we always have to have a lot of fun. We want to make sure people are really enjoying themselves. Staff really try to put on activities where people can learn something new, or maybe they can just relax and have fun after midterms or other stressful times of the year. So those kind of things are always available when you live on campus. You can also explore your leadership skills. A lot of people come out of high school and they want to continue being involved in leadership if they were heavily involved or they did a lot of community service. And being on campus, you're really close by to a lot of those same type of organizations where you'll be able to continue exploring your leadership skills, either through clubs, community services, organizations, our hall councils, things like that. So a lot of great opportunities for living on campus, and we want to make sure we highlight those. So I hope you got a couple of good things that you can take with you and explore with others. So big topic. I know a lot of people probably had a lot of questions about some of the things that are going to be changing in our halls for next year. So we've been working really hard to try to make sure that we are keeping our halls as safe and as comfortable for all of our residents in the upcoming year. So I'm just going to highlight a couple of things. This is not an exhaustive list, but these are some of the more pertinent items that we wanted to make sure we addressed in this session. So all of our reception desks will be having plexiglass shields installed. Unnecessary furniture will be kind of moved around in order to promote social distancing and prevent crowding in areas where we don't really want that for this year. Our front desk staff will always be wearing appropriate face coverings when they're working. So we have office assistants and desk assistants that work at our front desks, and they'll be wearing face coverings whenever we are in our offices, and we'll be having people coming in, RACs and GHAs will also be wearing face coverings to make sure that we aren't spreading anything unintentionally. We have hand sanitizing stations that are going to be installed at the front entrances and by the exterior entrances of all of our halls to make sure people can sanitize as they come in or as they leave. And some of our study lounges or common areas may be closed, or they'll have reduced seating in order to promote social distancing. So all of the halls will still have common spaces available. It might not be all of them, but we will still have those spaces available, and we'll make sure that we space them out accordingly where people can use them without fear of being too close to one another. So that's a couple of things. We'll also be working with our staff to make sure that we continue to connect with our residents via online platforms, a few in-person meetings in accordance with the CDC guidance and our university policies. We'll continue to host social and educational programming within our residential communities. So a lot of our programs may not be in person like they usually would be, but if they ever are in person, we'll make sure that we respect social distancing guidelines, and we'll use different methods to make sure that we can still accommodate as many residents as possible. So that could be something like if we have an event where it can only take place in person, we'll make sure we have proper spacing and we'll rotate people in and out, or we'll do it outdoors to make sure that there's enough space that can be had. Or if it's something that really requires a more intimate space that can't be done outdoors or with a lot of spacing, we might put on that program multiple days over the course of a 2-week period, a month period, something like that, in order to make sure that anybody who wanted to participate in that activity still gets a chance to do so while respecting the social distancing guidelines and making sure that people can feel as safe as possible when still living in their homes. We also will provide directed support to our students via the RAs checking in and other community building events that we'll still be hosting throughout the year. So if your student is concerned, or if you're concerned about coming onto campus, we are working really hard to make sure that you still have a great time, a fantastic experience, and that we can make sure everyone is safe as possible when they're living in the residence halls. So some leadership opportunities that I wanted to kind of touch on, make sure people are aware of a lot of the things that they can get involved with while they're living on campus. So we have so many different types of organizations. As you can see from the pictures here, that's the UNC Charlotte Resident Students Association and NRHH, which is the National Residence Hall Honorary. I'll get into those in just a second. But each hall has a community council, so all residents can participate in the community council. Doesn't matter if they want to be super involved, if they want to just come to a couple meetings, or they want to, drop in, drop out. You can participate at the community council at any time. But if you want to get a little more involved, each community council does have an executive board. And what that can entail is just being a little more involved in the planning of events. You can be, managing a budget if you wanted to get involved with some kind of financial skills. There's tons of different opportunities in the community councils. So if you wanted to kind of start small in your hall and make an impact where you live, that could be a good place to start. And then if you wanted to get a little more involved with our Resident Students Association, that's a campus-wide organization where all of our residents kind of make up a general body, and they plan kind of campus-wide events for all UNC Charlotte residents who live on campus. And they have an executive board as well. But in that first semester you join in, you'd probably be more of a general member, being able to help vote on programs and passing generalizations and laws kind of in the Constitution for Resident Students Association. And the National Residence Hall Honorary is an honor society where people can apply to be inducted into the National Residence Hall Honorary. So they do a lot of community service. They also help put on events. And they're really for people who have done a lot academically, but also still want to continue living on campus and being involved in that way. And those are some of the more housing related ways to get involved. There's so many other types of opportunities to get involved. So you can start in housing. There's over 400 student organizations. Each one has a unique kind of goal in mind and a way that they want to go about achieving what they set out to do. So if you have an interest, you can always try to look and see if there's a group that matches your interest, or you can create that group. Our student organization office is really great at helping people create organizations if they can't find one that matches up with what they want to do. If you're interested in Student Government Association, First Year Class Council is a great way to get started with that involvement. And there's plenty of other opportunities. Intramural sports are great. So whether you played sports in high school or you just love playing it kind of casually, there's different levels for all of those things. And that's a great way to kind of get involved and do something kind of on the lighter side. But there's also tutoring. People can get involved with that, peer mentoring, orientation counselors, leadership team. We have so many different opportunities that if you are interested in something, there's definitely something that you can do to get involved with your interests here at UNC Charlotte. So moving on to residential citizenship. Living on campus is a new experience for a majority of our students, and we want to make sure that everyone feels comfortable and welcome in their space. We want them to think of it as their second home. And with that, residential citizenship plays a big part. We want our residents to familiarize themselves with the resident handbook to learn about the residential policies and expectations that they'll be expected to follow while they're here on campus. So our resident handbook and our Housing 101 guide, once they're updated for next year, they can be found online, so you can read through those before you arrive to campus, but they'll also be updated so you can look at them, during your first couple of days once you arrive. But we also really want to encourage students to respect their roommate agreements that they work out with their roommates and suite mates and apartment mates. just so they can work through conflicts in a productive communication style, so we can properly practice that residential citizenship. But our staff will always be available if there's a communication breakdown, and we'll be there to help to make sure that everyone's feeling comfortable, heard, and respected in the spaces in which they live. But before I move on, I want to make sure everyone knows where to find the resident handbook and the Housing 101 guide. So I will show you all the website. So as you can see at the very top where the arrow is pointing, the resident handbook, if you go to the website housing.uncc.edu/campus-living/resident-handbook, that's the direct link that will take you right to the resident handbook and Housing 101 pages, where you can download those items and read through them on your own. You can also get to them from our general housing.uncc.edu website. There's a link you can click on that just says resident handbook, and it'll take you right to this page. But if you wanted the direct link, it's also there. So these currently on the website haven't been updated for this academic year yet, but they will be updated here in the coming weeks as we prepare for move-in. So you can check back at a later date and start reading through that once it's updated. And that way you can be ready to go for when you arrive for move-in towards the end of August. So going back to residential citizenship, all of our residents have a community, social, and personal responsibility to help keep our residence halls safe and healthy. Especially with this year that's coming up, we want to make sure that our residents participate in facilitated conversations between all of the people they'll be living with. RAs will also be available to help kind of develop those conversations and those agreements to make sure that everyone outlines responsible social distancing practices, guest permissions in the room, cleaning expectations, how people will share items, if they'll share items. So we really want to make sure that people are really intentional and really thinking about how they want to live with the other people in their space and what they want to be acceptable for this year, when everyone is kind of really thinking about how they can best keep themselves healthy. And we really want to make sure that people are respecting that, and that there aren't going to be any issues with people who are living together for the first time, especially if they don't know each other coming into the year. So that's kind of towards the end of the presentation, but I want to make sure that we put out this contact information. So if you want to reach out to us after this session, please utilize our phone number, 704-687-7501. You can email us at hrlmailbox@uncc.edu. Or if you want to kind of just search through our website and see if you can find the answers that you might be looking for, you can always go to housing.uncc.edu. And that way, through one of those methods, we'll be able to help answer your questions, and hopefully you'll be able to feel really good about coming and preparing for the fall. But before we get to that part, it is time for the question and answer session. So if anyone has any questions, I haven't been monitoring the question and answer box, so if anyone has any questions, feel free to drop them in there, and myself or Morgan will be more than happy to try to answer your question if we are capable of doing so.
I'm not seeing any questions right now. Are there any additional, frequently asked questions that your office may get from time to time from students or families?
Yeah, a lot of people are just really interested in knowing kind of what we're doing to try to help keep their children safe, and we are really been working very hard to kind of outline a lot of guidance. There's a lot more work that we're doing on the back end to make sure that we're properly prepared. So we are doing the work, we're doing the research to make sure that when by the time you all arrive, we have done everything possible to ensure a safe, cleanly environment for students as they arrive to campus.
Okay, we have a few questions coming in. In rooms with 2 occupants, will they be expected to wear a mask in the room?
They will not, or not necessarily. We are treating each individual room similar to how guidance treats a household. And so you are allowed to live in your household without having to wear a mask. As roommates, they may decide that that's what they want to, but our expectations as a department are not that roommates will have to do that with each other in their personal space. Anytime they leave that room, though, they will be expected to when they're in other areas of the hall.
Okay, will roommates be encouraged to move in on the same day or different days?
I don't know that we have been encouraging one method either way. We'll be encouraging students to find the appointment time that works best for their schedules. If they'd like to coordinate with their roommates, they're definitely open to do that, but that might not always be possible depending on when is best for different students to move in. But of course, that is something that students can choose to do if they want to coordinate to arrive at the same time.
Okay, will COVID testing be done as students arrive on campus? You may not know that answer, but.
Yeah, I don't know that answer for sure. That's kind of beyond the scope of our department's decision. I've heard that there will be some testing potentially available for students, but I don't know if it'll be a requirement.
Okay. In the engineering learning community, we have 2 people per bedrooms, but in an email it said 1 person per bedroom. What happens there?
At this point, we aren't restricting occupancy in bedrooms, and so our double occupancy spaces will continue to be shared spaces. I'm not sure what email. The email may have been referring to our guest policy change, which means that, or which the change now will be each unit will be allowed 1 guest per the amount of bedrooms. And so in a room in the engineering learning community, it would be 1 person, 1 guest being able to be in that room at a time. And so that may be where that confusion came in, but yes, at this point, we will still have double occupancy spaces.
Okay. And if students pick and schedule their move-in date or time at the same time, how will you schedule 4x4 move-in protocols for social distancing?
I don't know. I'm not positive on that, honestly. I haven't heard that we'll be restricting roommates not being able to move in the same time so much as trying to keep overall traffic down in the community, not necessarily by room, I think is the method that we've been going with at this point. And so if, you know, as roommates, people feel safer not having people move in at the same time, I think that's something they can discuss. I don't know that our appointment system at this point is set to allow it to be as specific as to by room, but we are trying to make sure that the overall move-in process for each of our buildings, the occupancy is limited during each of our move-in slots.
Okay, I think that's all the questions. Does anyone have any more questions for our presenters? Oh, yeah, another one. The engineering learning community situation is 2 bedrooms, 4 people. So will that be changed to 2 bedrooms, 2 people in accordance to CDC?
At this point, that is not what's happening. We haven't made any decisions to restrict or change our occupancy.
Are there any more questions? I think we're good, but thank you to our presenters for hosting this webinar for us. And if you could repeat your contact information for your office one more time, just in case they have any additional questions or specific questions that they want to email or call.
Yeah. Wants to write it down. But our phone number is 704-687-7501. And you can reach us by email at hrlmailbox, mailbox@uncc.edu. And then our website is housing.uncc.edu.
All right. Thank you very much. And thank you all for attending our webinar. We hope this information was very useful. And we hope to see you all on the campus soon. All right. Have a great weekend.